Okay, at some time during your on-water training, we will do a man overboard drill. Now, man overboard drill is a time when a lot of things come together. Your pre-departure briefing, when you said those situations where you might have to be skipper of the boat, this is one of those times. Whoever is driving has got to take command of your crew and of the vessel. Realize if somebody falls overboard with a life jacket on and you're sitting there looking at them, if you don't do the wrong thing to hurt them, stop the boat, turn around and pick them up. No big deal. But what we want to cover is the worst case scenario, and that is somebody goes over the side and you never see that person again. You've got to be able to get the boat back to that position. It would be horrible if somebody decided to be a hero and jump over the side, and now you have two people in the water. So you're going to take control of the crew and your passengers on board. Stay in the boat, get a life jacket on, point at the individual, keep them in sight. Somebody stand by with the dock line. Here's the throw cushion. While you're doing that, we also have to maneuver the boat. And what we're going to teach is called a Williamson turn. And it is designed to bring the boat back, to identify the spot and bring the boat back to that spot as quickly as possible under control. What it's going to look like, and a lot of things come together. If we are driving along and somebody falls over the starboard side of the boat, the most natural reaction you might do in a car is to turn away from the individual, in which case we're already past the pivot point and you're going to chop them up. So we have to turn the boat towards the individual at the same time that we're coming back on the power so we don't leave the area. Bring it smoothly back to a high idle RPM as you turn the boat. And you're going to turn the boat through about 60 to 90 degrees. And as soon as you hit that heading, without doing anything with the throttle, you're going to reverse the course and come right back around. Looking for your course. It is going to look like this. You're coming here, you turn out as you power back, and then you start your turn back around as you're coming in. And when you're lined up at this point, looking down, that individual is going to be right there at the turn of your wake. You're going to come back in approaching. Now, freeboard and draft comes into effect. We've talked about that. If the wind happens to be over here, my technique is to put the boat between the wind and the person so that it blows them in there. As we're coming back in, we're also going to be thinking about freeboard and draft on a type 4 flotation, your throw cushion. If the wind's blowing like that, you throw it to them. That's as close as they'll ever get to it. So bring the boat in, put it back here, slow it down, and then you start the recovery procedures. So it's called a Williamson turn. If your hat blows overboard, this is the quickest way to get back. So it's a quick power back to a high idle RPM, turn the boat back around, bring it back down the course, straight into the individual. Okay? We'll practice that sometime. Obviously, if the individual had gone over the other side of the boat, it would be a reverse maneuver, but we're going to leave that to the imagination because the drawing doesn't look real good. So it'd obviously be a turn in the opposite direction and back around. So that's called a man overboard. We'll try that. Again, if somebody's in the water, you see them, it's no big deal. Stop the boat, turn around and pick them up. In the recovery procedures, nobody goes in the water unless they have a life jacket on to help the individual out of the water. And that's called a Williamson turn. Okay, another thing about the man overboard drill we want to cover for sure is if we come back in here and we never see that individual again. Kind of an important point. We don't have long. The wind's moving us, blowing us, the wake is dissipating. We want to be able to locate this spot. We talked about navionics and the little yellow arc on there. Maybe this is one time when you want to start that little yellow arc. Maybe we go to Google Maps and drop a pin on the spot. Failing all else, we'll get a couple bearings, look around so we can identify the spot to tell search and rescue where the last place we saw that person would be. Okay? You starting? Okay. We want to cover next is anchoring the boat. We'll practice that, but just procedurally, anchoring is totally a wind-driven maneuver. We are going to prepare for anchoring by getting out the anchor and enough road to clear the boat. If I want to anchor in a spot right here and the wind is blowing in this direction, I'm going to bring my boat to that spot and past it, and then my terminology, stop the boat. When the boat stops, the wind's going to start doing its thing. It's going to start rotating and displacing the boat. At that time, you're smoothly going to go over the side with the anchor. We're not going to throw it over the side. Good time to damage it or get hurt. Get stabilized, let the anchor over the side. Let it go down until it hits the bottom. When it